What's up everybody? As always, I hope you're having a fantastic day. So I've had my standing desk for over 6 months now, and in the beginning I was a bit hesitant. You see all these claims online of how a standing desk will burn more calories, you'll be more focused and all of that, how it might help with your back as well. And I wasn't too sure if all of these claims were true, but mainly I wasn't sure if I was going to use the standing feature all that much. I thought maybe it was just going to be something I was going to use for maybe the first months or first few weeks, and then I would just forget about it. But regardless, I've had mine for 6 months now, like I said, and I wanted to answer the question, are standing desks actually worth it? I think they absolutely are for multiple reasons. The first one being pretty obvious is just think of how much time you actually spend sitting down at your desk. For me, I start my day at around like 7:30 or 8, and well, of course, I have a 9 to 5, but I work on my channel as well as on a few side businesses I'm trying to work on. And that means that I spend almost 12 hours of the day sitting on my desk. And even back then when I was a student, I would be sitting on my desk doing school stuff from 9 to 5, and then I would either play video games or study for another like 4 or 5 hours. So it was still about 12 hours that I would spend sitting down. Of course, we all know that sitting down for that much time is not good for you, for your back, your posture, all of that. Most experts recommend that you stand up every now and then to at least get some movement going. So they recommend that you either go for a small walk or go just grab a glass of water even. And is that really enough? Of course, I'm not an expert, I don't know. It does probably help a lot. So over the time that I've had my standing desk, I found myself using the standing feature quite a lot for at least a quarter of my day. And I stand up for different reasons throughout the day. Sometimes it is just because I find that if I'm sitting for too long, my back starts to hurt a little bit. I feel like my posture is not as good anymore, and that might be due to, I had a car accident about a year ago, but my back has been a lot better nowadays. But even before that, I remember when I was younger, playing video games for hours and hours and hours. At the end of the day, my back was sore, and it didn't feel good. So that's one of the reasons why I use the standing up feature. Whenever I feel kind of sore, I'll just put my desk in stand-up mode. Another moment I really like to stand up is during meetings. I always have a hard time focusing during long meetings. Sometimes they maybe aren't as interesting, and I have two main tips that works really well for me. The first one is to have a notebook with me, and I just write down notes as the people are speaking. It helps me to stay focused and stay active within the conversation as well. The other one is to stand up, just because if you're standing up, you're moving around and stuff, it gets your brain working, and I feel like it's a lot easier to focus on the meeting. It also feels like my head is working a bit better as well. If I'm on a phone call as well, I always like to stand up. And on the same note of, being focused, I usually find myself being less and less focused throughout the day. So I like to schedule my linear tasks in the morning. But what do I do in the afternoon when I feel like my focus is almost gone? Well, I usually just stand up, and it really helps a lot. It also feels like it's bringing a new perspective to my work. So if I'm stuck on a problem, I've been working long and long on it, and I don't really find any solution, well, standing up might be a good solution just because it feels like it gives you that new perspective. Another cool feature of having a standing desk is that it is a bit more convenient if you're going on and off of your desk. The moment that I do this the most is when I'm shooting B-roll for this channel. I usually have this table here sitting next to the window there and the desk. And I take pictures, take videos and stuff, go back to my computer, and if it's in a standing position, it's a lot faster to just move from one desk to the other. And even with all of that, I do spend the large majority of my day sitting down, which is why I think it's also really important to have a good chair. But regardless, even having a standing desk is actually really useful even if you're sitting down, because you can actually adjust the exact height that you want at any given moment. So for me, it's always been hard to find the right height for a desk, because, well, I'm 6 foot tall, but I actually have pretty small legs. I just have like a really long torso. So I always felt kind of weird being at a regular desk. So with a standing desk, I can just put my chair at the highest level possible, adjust the desk to the right level, and I'm always super comfortable. Now, there are a few things I think are really important to look for when you're looking for a standing desk. Of course, I do think they are worth it, but they are also quite expensive, and you might want to be looking for things or ways to cut down on those costs. There are a few things that I would personally avoid. The first one is a fixed standing desk, not because, just standing all day is not good. Well, I think it's good to sit down for certain things, and there are kind of really tall chairs that you can buy for fixed standing desk. However, they aren't as ergonomical as real regular chairs, so I would avoid these ones. Another thing I would avoid are standing desks that work with a crank, so you crank the desk up and down. And the main reason why is just because it takes a lot of time to put the desk up or down, which means I don't think you're going to be using it as much because, well, I know for me, I would just be too lazy and I would not use it at all. So I'm a big fan of having the less friction possible. And what that means for me is having a little remote like this here, where you just, you save your different positions and you just click on the button, it goes to the sitting or standing position right away. And so the remote with the memory buttons is definitely something I would look into. There are a lot of different options. So the one that I have from Fully has 4 different positions, which might not be useful if you're just one single person. But if you are 2 using the same desk, it might be useful to have that feature there. Well, for settings. I do personally use 3 of them because I like to have one for when I'm sitting and typing on my computer. And you have one when I'm writing or drawing. I don't know why, I like to have it a bit higher. It just feels more comfortable for me. And of course I have one when I'm standing up. However, I do have to say this is not something that is like mandatory or something that you have to buy. They're usually not that expensive though. This one I believe was like $30 more. And so I think it's definitely worth it, but obviously you can just get the up and down arrows and it will do the job pretty well. Another thing that you definitely need to look into is the range of the height. So how high and how low can the desk go? I picked the one with the most range out of Fully's options. So it can go pretty low and pretty high. Obviously I do have stuff underneath it so it won't go too low. But let's say you're a bit shorter, well, you might not need your desk to go all that high, but if you are taller, definitely do make sure that your desk can go all the way up to the height that you need. And on the subject of rising up and down, like I said, my desk will actually stop by itself if it feels like it's pushing on something. So for example, I have here a drawer unit, as well as some shelves up there. And if the desk feels like it's pushing on something, it will just stop so it won't break anything. It's a nice feature. I don't know if it's something that every single company offers, but maybe it's something that you should look into. And then the most important thing to look into of all is the stability. So any standing desk, when they are at the highest settings, will obviously have a bit more of a larger lever, if you will. So it won't be as stable as a regular desk. However, some are definitely way better than others. I don't really have a big problem with my desk. So once again, from Fully, they're not sponsoring this video, it's just the one that I have. But I've seen some from IKEA, for example, that were insanely shaky, which was really, really annoying. I would also be kind of scared of putting, valuable items like your computer, a monitor, or plants and stuff like that on your desk. If it's always shaky, I wouldn't want them to break. But once again, from IKEA, I've also seen desks that were a lot better. And so it's definitely something to look for, either in the reviews or go see it by yourself. I think it's really, really important. Like I said, I don't want any shaky desk to break anything that I have. And if you know that you're going to be doing a bit more hardcore work on your desk, maybe look into options that are more stable, like some desks that have 4 legs or have a stability bar across the legs. I personally know that I would just get annoyed by that stability bar because I would always hit it. But if you're doing some more hardcore work, I definitely think it's worth investing a bit more to have a more stable desk. But like I said, if you're not doing any of that hardcore work, you'll be perfectly fine with most desks. Just make sure that they aren't too shaky. Another thing to keep in mind is that standing desks are a bit noisier. It might not be a problem if, like me, you're alone in your room, or even if you're a few people just using standing desks. However, if you're in a big office environment and maybe you want a new office for your team and you want to buy everyone standing desks, do keep in mind that they're a bit noisy, and if you have 100 desks moving up and down all day long, it might get a bit annoying. However, for myself, I don't even hear it anymore. I'm kind of used to it. It's not insanely loud. Some are definitely louder than others, but it is something to keep in mind. So overall, if you are buying a desk, look for these features. Go in the description or go see it in person. And another good option, if you are trying to save a bit more money while buying a standing desk, is to look into buying the desktop itself separately from the standing system, so from the legs. A lot of companies actually offer this within their own ecosystem. So for example, you might be able to buy Fully legs and change the desktop itself. But you could just buy the legs by themselves and then go buy a top at IKEA or something, where you can spend maybe $90 on a tabletop and it will look really good. and you'll just buy better legs. You can also buy standing desk legs directly from IKEA, where they are pretty cheap and they are pretty good. Just once again, make sure that they are stable, but they do offer good options. I've also seen standing desks being extremely cheap at Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So it might be something to look into, but if you're buying online, do look at the reviews first, please, because you don't want to have a shitty desk even though it was cheap. So overall, do I think that standing desks are worth it? Absolutely, yes, I do. The only things to look into, like I said, were stability, all of that. But I think that all of the features that standing desks offer, well, all of the benefits, are really worth it. Are you going to lose a lot of weight by standing up all day? I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. You are, of course, burning more calories if you're standing up, but I don't think it's realistic to think you're going to be standing up for 8 hours a day, every single day. But it does offer a lot of benefits for your mind, for your brain. I do feel a lot more focused. I feel more energized as well when I'm standing up. And just having the option to, sit down and stand up whenever you want to is also good for your back, like I said. So, well, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys want to see my other tech essentials, I'll leave a link to the video up here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.